Okay, our final speaker here. As Tony was up here, and then as Gavin approached, I had this feeling like this, here are the tail end bands. We're at a U2 concert. U2 has finally come up. We were all the opening bands. I've known Gavin for many, many years. One of the first times I met Gavin, I was at Florida Tech as assistant coach. Worked for a great guy, Bill Jurgens. We'd come up to race the Dadvilles. And what we would do is we would get up about a week early. We would get up here like a Monday for the Dadvilles because we're typical coaches, right? So we get up there. What I would do is I would sleep under the boats at the canoe club because, okay? And so one night I'm out there sleeping under the boats at the canoe club, and all of a sudden I get out in the morning, I'm kind of like, Temple's got morning practice, and Coach White looks at me, he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" Because I was sleeping under the boats. He goes, "Why the hell were you sleeping under the boats?" He said, "You're not going to stop anything that's going to happen down here unless you got a shotgun." So the next day when I saw Jurgen, I said, "I want a hotel room." Said, "Sure, you can have a hotel room." Gavin, that was the start. We've known each other for many years. You've been up at Temple for what, 32?
Yeah. Started out, it was supposed to be 1 year, and I just, I'm comfortably numb, as they say. It's just the way it is.
And I'll say this, I hope, especially when you saw Mike and Tony and some of the other people up here, Sarah and Fred, meeting we have a very nice community. These are some of the nicest people in the whole sport. So I'd like to introduce Gavin.
Thank you. I've come a long way since sleeping under that trailer, by the way. And by the way, did anybody get as lost coming here as I did? I mean, it was just, maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know, maybe I'm directly impaired, but I was driving through towns on the way down here seeing things I had never seen before in my life. Being a city boy, I mean, I was driving down 213, and I was like, I'm trying to find this place, and I swear to God, I was sitting along the intersection, I saw a headless horseman come across the road. At least I thought it was. And I knew I was getting close because I started seeing signs in the window saying bait. And I saw Joe's Marina. I figured I had to be getting there somewhere. And I had this GPS. My wife says, "Make sure you take the GPS with you before you leave so you don't get lost." And I mean, I don't know if your GPS is like mine. How many people here have GPS? It's just about everybody. Raise your hand if you have a GPS. I don't anymore because coming down route, I got on Route 1. I guess at one point I was on 13 or 1. I didn't even know where I was. I got out of the car, put the GPS on the ground, and ran over it, and ran back. At that point, it was smooth sailing. It was just great. I must have a pretty big ego because when I took over at Temple, the program was in a bit of a downswing. Bear Kern was the coach, my coach, and he was just a phenomenal guy. And I find out more and more as I've been in the sport longer, he's a genius. He really was. He's a kind of, you talk to him, he couldn't figure out what he was saying half the time. I think it was all part of an act, so he'd try to get to the point where he would get you going, get you on his side eventually. But he was a treat. And Bear said, I thought he was the most unorganized guy I ever met. So one day before I took over as head coach, I made a list of all the things that I wanted to accomplish when I was the head coach. All the things I liked that he did and things that I didn't like. And it was incredible because I just dug that list out a little while ago. I looked at it, and I did every one of the damn things that I thought that I didn't like. And on the right-hand side, all the things I did like, I did all of them too. And I'm still doing them, all of them. I'll give you an example. All right, first of all, let's hit this one out of there for a second. Now hit the button up there.
I've seen this.
I was tooling around with some stuff. Whoops. No, back again. Back again. Now it's got to hit the click to put it on there. Nope, not the forward click, but the actual.
Oh, hold on. We got it. We're well-oiled machine.
Can I get time back for this?
Yeah. We're credited. It's like football. Okay, put 3 seconds back on the clock.
No, it's not playing.
It should. It got my juices flowing watching it last night.
It's so.
You can possibly play it outside of the slideshow.
If you use it, when I had the clicker, when I had the mouse on there, if you click the left-hand clicker.
Eric, get out of the slideshow. You might be able to get to it.
No, you can get out of the slideshow.
Hit escape.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
watching Coxon there talk about anxiety, talking about what Rob was talking about, Coxons and stuff. Brings me to, I put in a shameless plug in here. We have a Coxons clinic, February 5th.
Definitely wasn't you.
No, that wasn't me. Anyway, we have a Coxon clinic, February 5th in Philly, at Temple, with probably the best female coxswain in the world. Mary Whipple will be there, and arguably one of the best in the world. Marcus McElhenney is a Temple grad, will be there as well. So if you want to learn more about coxswain, your coxswains want to come. It's turns out to be a great thing every year. And let me piggyback on something Mike said. Mike was, now one of my strong points, and one of the things I was going to do today was have a plan stand. I was talking about yearly workout plans, but I sat down and timed it out, and I thought I was doing pretty good. I found I was talking really fast. I was talking like this, I couldn't get done, I hit the stopwatch, it was an hour. I thought, man, what am I going to do? So I figured I could just piggyback on some of the things Mike said and wing it. Hit it again. Bear Curran. These are some of the things I liked about what he did. He worked in, he pissed us all off all the time, but one of the things, is that sound? Anyway, he fixed it, he worked on a diet. He would have us we had to eat the same things all the time, and I used to think it was a lot of nonsense until I got to be a coach. He wouldn't let us have gravy on meat. He had to have chopped meat for pre-race meals. He had to have string beans. It had to be sherbet. It had to be everything according to his plan. And now I'm doing the same thing. Endless pieces. Now, how many of you believe you have to be honest with your kids? Most of you, I'm sure. I believe it as well, except that for the endless pieces. He would start us at Strawberry Mansion Bridge, and he'd say to us, "Okay, Temple, last 10. He would go, we would go, about the 7th stroke, I'd hear him say, 1. And I swear, I figured he's getting old, he's senile, he's forgetting how to count. We would do the final 10 all the way up over the Twin Bridges. And he would do that incessantly. One day, John Hooton was our coxswain. He's coming down from Strawberry to the dock, we thought. He started heading towards the dock, and the bear got angry. And so he told us to take a last 10. That last 10 went all the way to Boathouse Road. It was just incredible. Haircuts. I rode in 1973 with Fu Manchu, long hair, but Bear would make you cut your hair. I mean, shave it. He would have one of the seniors or the upperclassmen shave your head. And we looked like convicts. You have to understand, nowadays the kids choose to wear their hair like that. Back then we didn't. Bear did, though. He was just amazing. And he'd always forget your names. I thought he was doing, I really thought he was a scatterbrain. But he knew what he was doing. He would bring you together. My nickname, as Tony knows, was Turtle. Why? I don't know. He says because I rode like a turtle. I believe everything you do in rowing has to be planned out, really to the last detail. And like Mike said, you got to start and finish. Whatever your last race is, your culminating race, and work yourself backwards from there. Dad Vale, I work back for the year. I lay out every week, all the way from May, second Saturday in May, all the way through September. And the reason for doing it is you got to have your race dates put in there, but you got to put in there your testing. And you talked about macro cycles. There's a certain rhythm that comes with your testing as well. And I think that's something you have to put on there, along with your strength training when you want to emphasize it, when you want to de-emphasize it. Lots of stuff, but you got to plan. I'm a teacher by trade. I taught for 25 years actually in the Philadelphia Public Schools, and we had to do lesson plans every week, and I hated them. But I found that as I went on in teaching, that really, if you had a plan, even if it was just simple, it gave you some framework to follow. So I really believe in the plan. I do it, and I do it ad nauseum. I do it at night. I do it all. I got notebooks probably from exactly 32 years of coaching in a drawer in my den, and I do reference them. And I think it's important that you keep notes. Now, I hit that next one. I don't even know what's up there. Just hit the next one. I'm going to skip through a lot of this stuff. Winning is an attitude. I took over the program. They hadn't won in a while. And I had to try to establish something in the program. I had to try to get a good attitude going, a winning attitude, if you will. And some of the things we did, we actually practiced going on the awards dock. we would actually have them pull into the awards dock after a 2K or 1K piece, get out, raise their hands. And so, the whole bit. It's not the first year I took over because they weren't that good yet. But once they got to the point where I thought they could win, they had to learn all the things that go along with winning. I would even do things like, they weren't real good rowers at the time, but they were pretty good runners. So I got Mike Hurley at Villanova, and I said, we'll challenge you to a cross-country race. We went out and raced 5 miles in the park with them. We won it. We had an award ceremony. It became big. I started trying to find things like that they could do, that they could be successful at. And that's how I think I do believe it all contributed to the fact that we were winning. I haven't gotten winning so many times during the 80s and 90s. Hawthorne effect. They started with their uniforms. Every year I changed one thing about the uniform. First year it was just plain, then second year they put one stripe, then we had 2 stripes, then we had a big stripe. No matter how subtle it was, you know what the Hawthorne effect is. Most of you've learned that in psychology. It's change of any kind at all will often result in a more positive performance. And so just by changing some of the simple uniforms, we started to get better and better and better, and it just snowballed. Let's see what else. You got to picture what you're going to do. You got to picture the race. They start in September picturing how this race is going to go, the Dad Veil I'm talking about now. And the only problem we ever had with that is I had a guy, and you'll see his picture in a minute, J.R. Reed that rode for me, and Mike Tatey, who was my assistant for about 6 years. Took him on the morning of the Dad Veil. We had him lay on the floor of the boathouse, and he went through the whole race from the start to the music we had in the background was Chariots of Fire. And he talked us through that race. Okay, first 20. You can listen to the boats. Everybody's together. He was narrating all the way through this thing. The guys were laying on the floor. They had to hold hands. It was kind of weird, but they were all there. I mean, they were opposite ends, holding hands on the locker room floor, and they were just talking. He was talking to them about this race, and I was getting chills, and I was just listening. When they finished the thing, they got up. They're all fired up. I still get hair in the back of my neck still raises up now thinking about it. Out the door they went out there and they finished second. We were against FIT actually. We went out and we had the lead all the way down. They rode through us and won. And the kids come back to the boathouse. And Charlie Bracken says to me, he says, Coach, he says, next year keep Mike away from us. He says, it's tough enough winning the Veils, but winning it twice in the same day is really kind of hard. And he was exhausted. I see, hit it again. I don't know what else I have up there. Now hit it again. All right. Numbers you don't ever want to forget. Now, Mike talked about this, I think, the AT. The power outage, I did a thing last week where they all had to do 1 stroke, they had to do 5 strokes, and they had to do 200 meters. And it gives you a really good indication of the kind of power output they have. That's a key figure for us. I look at that a lot. But the biggest one is the AT. You can get this formula for AT anywhere. I'm not going to give it to you today. You can get it on the internet. But we worked yesterday, in fact, again, on setting their AT levels to give them a target for their workouts. And AT levels, almost 70%, I would say, of my workouts are based in or around AT. Because it's a very comfortable level for guys to work at. It's non-threatening. You don't have to worry about going out there and puking up your guts or passing out. It's just under the wire in terms of training. And I think that figure is key. 20 minutes, another key figure.